And welcome back to Who Would Win. Today's Who Would Win comes to us from Horny the Cashier. Names. Who asked the question, who would win in a Riddler Royale? The Riddler from Batman the Brave and the Bold, the Riddler from the 1995 movie, the Riddler from Gotham, or the Riddler from the Batman? And I want to be sure you did not specify, you didn't specify any other Riddler there. So obviously, the Riddler is one of those characters who, and all these are basically Edward Nygma. They're just different versions of Edward Nygma. Although the Batman, that one, as far as I know, is not Edward Nygma. At least they never call him that. But as far as we know, we can call him Edward Nygma. But point being, the Riddler is not a physical individual most of the time. There are rare exceptions. The Batman TV show our animated show is an example, but every character in there is physical at some point. Even the Penguin knows martial arts, so take it up for what it's worth. If you want to go with Harley Quinn in I think it's the second or third season where they roid out the Riddler, that technically counts. And honestly, to some extent, the Batman, the most recent Riddler, is the most physical because he did murder a man with his own hands, pretty much. But at the same time, Gotham's version of the Riddler is actually a very good marksman, as I found out. And yeah, the animated Riddler, the Brave and the Bold Riddler, does have a little bit of Toon Force on his side, or at least cartoon shenanigans. Not anywhere near to the point of, say, a Bugs Bunny or The Mask, but he's got the benefit of being animated. So that allows him to kind of get away with some more elaborate stuff. The idea here, though, this would not be a physical battle. This would be a battle of intellects. And because of their narcissism on all fronts, all these guys are like that. Because of their narcissism, because of their ego, that is a sound defeat, and they're probably just going to be like, ah! And just go off and basically be, I am defeated. So, in a battle of riddles and intellect, who would win? Let's break it down. Now, I never watched really any of Gotham or Batman the Brave and the Bold. I've only got 50% sure on full knowledge of these guys' capabilities. The rest I've kind of had to infer from the sources provided. But unfortunately, right out the gate, the Batman the Brave and the Bold Riddler is just a cartoony Riddler. It's because the series is designed for a younger audience, the riddles he's doing aren't all that highbrow in terms of capacity needing to think of it. Now, that being said, once in a while they might throw out something a little bit more intelligent. Now, this is where the original animated series. Okay, now we would be looking at a Riddler who could probably compete with the higher ups on this list, because the Batman the animated series writers knew to write it not solely for kids, but for adults to enjoy it too. So they fucking won Emmys for their writing on that show. Heart of Ice won Emmys. Great episode, one of the best. Unfortunately, Brave and the Bold, well, from everything I hear, a good show, didn't tailor itself to that type of audience. So I think right at the gate, the animated Riddler in this lineup is going to suffer immediately. Beyond that, though, we now have Jim Carrey, we have in the other Paul Dano, and I don't know the actor's name who played him on the Gotham TV show. I'm going to be at least a little unpopular here. I don't know a huge amount about the Riddler here in terms of Gotham, but also because if you're not paying attention, some of the Riddler's riddles might be a little bit more tricky. Not to say that the match one was pretty easy, but then the fact that he's laid out an entire code, Mr. Enigma, in the entire riddles, throughout all the riddles, I think makes it a little bit more nuanced, not by much, than some of the stuff that he pulled off in Gotham. Again, I say this not having seen a lot of Gotham, but having to look up some of the stuff he did. Granted, because he's a forensic scientist, that does give him a lot of leeway in terms of intelligence. However, Enigma literally devised something that could actually absorb IQ into him. He literally was smart enough to create a supervillain layer. Now, the Schumacher versus is a lot more wacky. The other two are a lot more grounded. But that does give the Jim Carrey Riddler an advantage in the sense that he is wackier and he does have more wackiness on him. But because he was just kind of he was developing a way to read minds and just absorb information into his head, literally. This arguably might make him smarter than the other. The other three, but we've kind of established the other one's kind of written as a kid for more younger audiences. Granted, Carrey wasn't that much better. But this does arguably give him the potential to be smarter than the other two. The problem, though, is how he applied it. He did not apply it very well. In fact, we don't see a lot of the Riddler riddling in Batman and Robin. Sorry, not Batman. No, Batman Forever. We don't see a lot of him. Yeah, he's sending riddles to Bruce. Bruce, sure. What else is he doing? He makes the Enigmatech box, which is absorbing more info. It's genius, sure, but it's not riddling. Yeah, honestly, there's not a lot of riddling. Like the whole point of having a Riddler in an episode of the show or in the movie is to have the ongoing mystery with this individual, this cat and mouse, the who's smarter than who game. That's kind of just second fiddle that's just kind of, oh yeah, he's also sending riddles in this movie, but really he's doing a lot more wacky shenanigans. So yeah, unfortunately, because of the way, he arguably might be the smartest one because of stealing information and intellect, but he's also arguably the least effective at what he does. So I would say Jim Carrey's Riddler could be clever for a while, but ultimately would straight out lose. This brings us now down to the last two. Now, again, we're not talking about fisticuffs, but let's just throw one out there if this was a fisticuffs fight. Paul Dano's Riddler is actually probably the scariest because he's the most realistic. But beyond that, he was the only one to actually murder someone with it. Actually, did he murder? Yeah, he murdered, I think it was the mayor, with the Tucker. He did it with his own hands. And then he got the district attorney, put the bomb on his neck. And he actually was able to land a shot at Falcone. So arguably he's probably more capable in an actual fight than any of these other Riddlers. But that's not so. If it did come down to hand, I would probably go with the Paul Dano Riddler. But we're looking at an intellectual battle. So it comes down to Paul Dano, and it comes down to the Batmans, and it comes down to Gotham's. Both are highly intelligent. Both are able to manipulate things the way they want to, despite how it worked. Batman did not beat the Riddler, by the way. Think about that movie. The first movie we get with Batman, and yet Riddler's caught and he's contained, and they do end up saving the day overall. But he did not beat the Riddler. The Riddler got what he wanted. It's just Batman intervened for the lives lost and everything else. So, yeah, that Riddler got a lot more done, arguably, than most of the other Riddlers on this list. As you go, baby. My dog's right here. As you go, girl. I'm just getting pets and relaxing on a lazy, rainy Friday. So, in terms of what he's capable of getting done, absolutely. Both these guys like riddles, though. Both these guys are very intelligent. Both these guys are, want you to try to beat them to prove they're better. The problem, though, is there's no Batman to compare the Gotham Riddler to. That's the biggest problem with the Gotham Riddler, is that it is, though, superior intellect, really, to compare him to. The Batman Forever, Brave and the Bold, and the Batman all have a Batman that he can actually duke it out with wits-wise. Gotham's does not until the very end, and at that point, Batman just basically kicks both Penguin in his ass when he first appears at the end of the movie, or end of the S-series, where, by the way, terrible mask. They could have done a lot better on the mask for that. So, because we actually have had Paul Dano go toe-to-toe with Batman, and by all accounts, best him intellectually. Not to say that he is ultimately smarter. Remember, this Batman is still only just getting started in his career. By the time you get to maybe like a decade into being the Batman, oh yeah, no, he can probably best Nigma at most avenues. But Nigma is always considered one of the only Batman villains who's an intellectual threat to him. And the dog's tail is in my face. And can theoretically best him in a battle of intellect. So, and when you factor in everything Paul Dano did, it was multiple riddles with a cipher that within the riddle. Then, and he's still going around murdering people, openly doing it. Then you factor in also like the URL, setting things up. He was so meticulous because he ultimately had a game plan. What I did find about the Gotham Riddler, though, is that he did become a bit more unhinged as the series went on. And he did suffer a psychological degrade later on in the series. Now, they do explain this is probably psychological, but he did suffer it for a while. Whereas Paul Dano's is never. He's sharp. He's on point. So in a Riddler Royale of, just raw strength or, actually them fighting, I will give it to the Paul Dano one. In an intellectual fight, I think it literally does go down the list. It goes, Paul Dano would win, followed by the Gotham one, followed by the Jim Carrey, and then followed by the Brave and the Bold one. So yeah, that I think Paul Dano does win overall. I think he is the smartest of them. He is also most physically capable from what we've seen. But again, keep in mind, I am going off the limited knowledge of Gotham. I'm not about to watch an entire series just to do one who would win. Sorry. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think, obviously, for people who know Gotham more, do you think I'm on the right track, or do you think the Gotham Riddler would? By the way, don't play bias just because you like the show. Don't be, I'm not trying to call it all fans, but don't be like Saitama fans, like, Saitama wins because that's just stick. That's not how that works. That's not how that works in Versus. I'm sorry, that's just not. And it's not how it works here. If you think legitimately the Gotham version of the Riddler is the superior one, please let me know why you think that. Absolutely. But no, I will go the Paul Dano one, but that is just my opinion. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Later.